This NFL Picks Week 2 edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on football only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with code SGP. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Snag the tickets without the stress. Use promo code SGPN on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Game Time app and use promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play the Underdog Pick'em in college or NFL and win up to 20x in one game. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today.
Hey, this is Pac-Man Jones. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Cox. He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, second the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Hello, Sean. Feeling good. Thanks for asking.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, how you doing? Normally you wear your team gear to the episode. I'm rocking my Jalen Hurts jersey. You're rocking a coleslaw t-shirt.
I mean, we all have teams. I told you there were hands raised, there was accountability taken, and so I'm taking a couple days off the old animal fats.
Oh wow,
team coleslaw. Appreciate Cousin Mush for getting me the jerseys.
Giants got their ass kicked so bad you took a meat cleanse.
Yeah. After looking at how big and fat Mike McCarthy looked next to that skinny play
I thought you were
sheet.
gonna say Brian Table.
Maybe I've gotten some feedback that I look big and fat next to this skinny play sheet.
Oh wow.
I don't know what the skinny play sheet is, but just trying everything at this point. Offensive line coach still has a job, so like there is that.
Right. I will say
Mark Lewinsky still somehow has access to the building.
Mark Lewinsky, does he have a blue dress? Mark Lewinsky.
By the way, someone reached out and said that he was really happy that he didn't end up taking his kids to Mark Lewinsky's football camp this summer.
Oh wow!
So shout out to that guy out in Pennsylvania.
Taking down a fellow small business. Ryan,
some would say he took down himself with poor effort and energy.
So I have been soaking up some posts in the Giants subreddit. I'm worried that the team is just throwing the offensive line under the bus, not necessarily taking accountability as a whole for the loss.
What do you mean? Who's throwing anyone under the bus?
I just see
who's throwing any. Tell me which player.
Mark Lewinsky.
Which player is throwing another player under the bus?
No, I'm saying the fan base.
Okay, because it's very easy. A number of the Giants content creators happen to be offensive line people, so you get hyper focused, very easy to see video breakdowns of how shitty the right side of the offensive line was. I think there's also a lot of sensitivity to the past. Eric Flowers was not that long ago, Sean. All right,
Evan Neal, the new Eric Flowers.
God help DraftKings if they put out a controversial same game parlay in this regard. I think all of these things make it very easy to suggest, and just visually, Sean, you watch a lot of football.
Yes,
we watch SEC versus FCS. When's the last time you've seen two dudes on an offensive line be less useful than in that game? I'm not kidding.
Oh, it was bad.
Mark Lewinsky was not trying. If I was coaching a youth soccer game and one of my girls was giving that kind of effort, she'd be sitting her ass on the bench. Why Brian Dable and by extension Joe Shane have their something up their ass for this guy? I get it. You gave out a bad contract. Get off of it. Right? What do you do when you got a bad hand in poker, Sean? You don't keep pouring money into it. Take him out to the farm, get the old shotgun, and put him down. You don't want the dog to live like this, dog. I mean, he is in danger.
Yes,
I would say it's a. I mean, he. I don't know how you don't play. You got to play someone else. And Andrew Thomas is hurt. That's great. So glad football season's back.
Football's back, baby. Hey,
and people are enjoying this once again.
Oh, I'm enjoying it.
People reaching out. Hey, man, I hate to say this, but the show's way better when the Giants fucking suck. You know what? I hope there's a third down QB sneak for the sake of the show. For the sake of the show,
the chat is lit.
Maybe Darren Waller's leg can fall off too while we're at it.
Chat is lit. Moonoff, friend of the program.
Hey Moonoff,
five tool player here over at SGPN. Does a ton of shows.
Girthy tool.
He was saying shoes on the desk. That's kind of gross. These are actually brand new shoes that we are giving away on this week's Patreon Pick'em. There's some sweet Nike Air Jordan 1s, the 1985 style. So if you're a shoe collector, a Kicks guy.
How did you learn that?
I read the box.
Did you hire a shoe expert?
No, I didn't bring in a Kicks guy. I read the box. These are cool sneakers, and you can win. You can win them if you're in our Patreon Pick'em sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We got a lot to get to.
Sean, I'll offer to sign the shoes too if whoever wins. Happy to sign them.
I see, like
if that helps you increase the value.
I would, if I won as an Eagles fan, I would say, I would have you autograph it. Ryan Kramer, 910, never forget. And
have you seen my handwriting's not very good. I can maybe get a signature on there. Anything else? Get maybe a number, maybe a symbol, a heart, maybe. Anything else you'd like to add, Sean?
No. Okay. Well, yeah, I would like to talk about before we even get into these games. We got this week. Our version of that was a disgusting act.
That is a disgusting act.
We always get a ton of clips sent to us that are, well, you guys know the deal. This one though,
the amount of people who tagged us in this one, felt good.
Yeah, got a lot of attention. Thank you, good DGens, for sending this over. I think actually producer Josh also found it very active there on the social media.
I can tell my day is going to be a good one when I pop into the old DMs and I see a whole bunch of stuff in the spam folder that isn't sexy bots. Hey man, did you see this clip?
Everyone.
All right, let's
just because we know these guys because we know these guys are going to come.
Hey Josh, well, hold on, Josh, start that again for me. There you go.
And, really everyone just being on the same page because we know these guys are going to come. A lot. I mean, there's but
how was the Iowa quarterback?
I mean,
hey, bro. My name's Cade McNamara. I like to rip bongs and cum. I mean, the best part is how there are adults in the room that were also laughing. So shout out to those. I mean, those guys might be in some hot water.
Let's go.
Car wash activities, maybe. Is that why it was so funny? It is an Iowa.
Hey, DraftKings Sportsbook app. Have you downloaded it yet? If you haven't, what are you waiting for? Official sports betting partner of the NFL, the National Football League. You can new customers bet $5 on football, $200 instantly in bonus bets. Think of all the bets we give out. If you can't find something to get down on over at DraftKings, how can you look yourself in the mirror and call yourself a DJ? Get in on the NFL Week 2 action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now. Use code SGP to sign up. New customers can bet just $5. Take home $200 instant in bonus bets only on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Code SGP. The crown is yours. Look at that giant orange crown. Imagine winning so much cash on DraftKings, you actually buy yourself a crown. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Coming off a week 3-2 on our Circa Millions pick, Kramer. We are surviving in the Circa Survivor. We did have the Ravens.
Can we review the process of the millions?
Sure.
We gotta be better about taking obvious flowchart situations. The Jags, the Browns come to mind. We were on the Rams. I know you didn't like the Jags last week, but we have these flow charts for a reason.
Yes,
Sean. And I just wish you would have not just spit in the face of a good flow chart.
You're really mad about the. I feel like you're taking the Giants' loss out on me for suggesting
the
that
Browns play. I feel like we both liked. I don't know how it didn't make it onto the card. Should have been there over the Chargers. Almost felt like we wanted to put a favorite just to have it. Structure doesn't matter. Got to remember that for next time. All right. Anything else?
I was going to compliment you going 2-0 on your locks.
Oh, thank you.
I went 1-1 on my locks. I did hit my 3-team tease and the Rams money line 2-1, 10-6 ATS overall.
Yes, sir.
Good start to NFL Week 1.
Yeah, and also, Sean, I don't want to get if you are driving, make sure. Oh wow, Josh speaking from behind the curtain, making sure you also tout for him. He also we'll call that a lock chain. We were lock chaining all the locks over here. Me and Josh, actually you too. We were almost perfect. We will strive for perfection next time. I was just talking, waiting for you to be like, but we got through it. What I was gonna tout, I'm not sure what you're reading over there. Maybe
I'm not reading anything. I'm waiting for you to.
Well, I was giving you time to say something. I thought you were looking something up.
No, you said you wanted to. You got on your soapbox. So
yeah. So the soapbox was, and again, if you're driving, pull over. But I don't want to. I not a big tout myself, but the NFL sheet has been updated.
Yes,
that's all I'm gonna say. I'm aroused. If you'd like to be aroused with me, just check it out.
Looks fire. Ryan, I worry you're a little grumpy. I think it's.
What do you mean?
Well,
the fuck do you mean?
The show got.
Look at you over here, Mr. Happy Pants.
We had a good week.
Get off my lawn.
Your team didn't have a good week, but Team SGP had a good week. Let's lean in. Let's enjoy it. We only have so many NFL picks podcasts.
Now we're on a team.
Let's see. Listen to how negative and angry you are.
TIIM. No, I'm not angry.
Oh, you serious grumpy vibes.
I'm
Smash
aroused.
the like button if you think Ryan's being grumpy.
I have all the spreadsheet blood going to the southern regions of my body.
You have to know when to come.
Bad case of gout, actually. Thursday night. Anything last big takeaways? I know you watched all the film since Sunday when we last talked about the league. Any big takeaways? Anything you missed originally before we advance? No macro takes.
No macro. No, nothing macro takey. No, I mean, road teams look good. You know,
I did go back and see how bad Kadarius Toney was. It was really bad. I'm starting to I'm regretting apologizing for dancing on his grave. It was pretty funny. All right, Thursday Night Football, Sean. I guess you want to talk about your Eagles. They're hosting the Vikings. This game did happen last year on Thursday night in week 2 as well, right?
Monday night.
Monday. Okay.
Similar primetime
standalone primetime vibes. Kirk Cousins on the road in Philly. That's not a spot I'm looking to take him here. They're catching 6 points plus 210 on the money line. Eagles minus 258. 49 is the total. Gotta look. I mean, when you looked at the Vikings, obviously the narrative is, hey, if not for the turnovers, maybe they win that game. But I don't think the Bucs are all that good. And then on the Philly side, it was one of those games where they started fast. Maybe they took the foot off the gas, and New England kind of came back into the game due to a schematical advantage that Minnesota should be able to take advantage as well with the linebacking core with Philly. I would imagine you're going to look to smash the Eagles. My instincts is to as well, because of just like it feels like this game could get very out of hand if the Vikings, especially with double Bradbury's out for this game, but the one on the Minnesota side, the center, if he's out, that could be a big problem. Kirk Cousins doesn't fare well with pressure up the middle. And I did give out 2 touchdowns for the defense of the Eagles. So I don't think they can do that without
if
a big.
They score 2 defensive touchdowns. How are they not going to cover the spread? Garrett Bradbury, the Vikings center, is out. Their tackle Christian Darrisaw is questionable with an ankle injury. I'm projecting he will play, but
Yeah,
obviously won't be 100%. On the Eagles side, yes, their cornerback Bradbury, he's in the concussion protocol. He's out. Safety Reed Blankenship's out. Kenny Gainwell, their running back, he's out. So again, hopefully you got that 30-1 Rashad Penny first touchdown before the line moved. So I think I am slightly worried about the Eagles secondary. I do think their weakness is across the middle there with Hawkinson, maybe Jordan Addison, but Kirk Cousins needs time to be successful. And I think with the banged up offensive line, with the amazing get off that the Eagles pass rush has, next gen stats, the Eagles accounted for 3 of the quickest defenders by interior pass rush get off in week 1. Jalen Carter, number 1, 0.68 seconds. Fletcher Cox, 0.72. And then Milton Williams had a pretty good game, 0.72. So the Patriots had like a quick passing game that neutralized the Eagles rush there for a little bit. But ultimately, Eagles did get home, created some turnovers. I think they're going to do that again. I realize I'm saying again. Someone in the Patreon's like, Sean keeps saying again. I like saying again.
Watch the game tape, Sean. So Fletcher Cox missing practice, not a big deal.
Fletcher Cox is fine. I like taking the Eagles as a home favorite, 8-3 ATS as a home favorite since basically last year with Jalen Hurts. Vikings as road dogs, 10-15-1 ATS since 2018, aka when Captain Kirk came to the Vikings, 30th in the league. The Vikings fold against good competition. I just don't see on a short week them being able to put together a good game plan. And Brian Flores, his idea is, hey, we're just going to bring a bunch of blitzes. We're going to blow up the Eagles. I just don't think that's going to happen. This Eagles team, I think, had a wake up call against the New England Patriots, and after that, I think it was best case scenario. They won, they covered, they still had a wake up call. So, yeah, I think this is a great spot for the Eagles at home on a short week. They're gonna be able to exploit that secondary. Like there was meat on that secondary bone. Baker did a little bit. Baker could have done a better job of taking advantage of it, but Mike Evans was open deep. I think AJ Brown's going to have a big game. Dallas Goedert, they're going to go out of their way to feed him. Brando in the chat saying Vikings money line. You're out of your mind, buddy.
That's the biggest. I mean, I know that in general, I probably want to look to take teams that are 0-1 against teams that are 1-0, but in this spot, it reeks. Maybe it turns into a bit of a scoring situation, but with Flores, you just mentioned it. He's going to come after Hurts, but he can't. He went after Baker. I think they were in the top 5 in blitz rate, but they were in the bottom 10 in pressure rate. So honestly, if they do that to Jalen Hurts, that's something he's become quite good at, which is just relieving the blitz pressure with the obvious open receiver. And I think maybe that's how Swift makes his mark on this game, is in the passing game. It's something that when you get him out in space, he can't make the wrong read. He doesn't have the wrong lane to get through. So I think AJ Brown has a big game. I think the Eagles defense has a big game potentially. Obviously, we're on the more public side here, but I don't really quite understand why this has come down from 6.5 to 6. I think it's purely just the numbers nerds.
It was 7.5 at one point.
The look ahead, maybe. If you're saying the organic,
I think there was some 7.5s out there.
Oh, I don't think this. You could be right. I don't have enough data to debate that with you, but I was under the impression it opened at 7 and it's come down, and I don't quite understand why. Why would this not just? We were talking what the look ahead lines were out in Vegas, and this almost certainly had to be 7.5.
Just in general, I think when in doubt, take the home team on Thursday night. The quick turnaround, especially on the defensive side for the Vikings, I think it's just gonna be tough. Eagles. I also like teams who first game on the road. Now you come back home. I feel like inherently they're a little undervalued there. Did you have a stat of 0-1 teams versus 1-0?
No, I ended up pulling. I ended up kind of landing on a different type of trend to highlight, which is more of a, we'll call it a mini close your eyes special.
Oh, and we have some this episode.
Well, we not only have close your eyes specials, but yeah, I was more when I started diving into that whole like, should we just be squares and talk about 0-1 teams versus 1-0 teams? And I was like, nah. This isn't as good as I thought it would be, but double digit losers week 1, they come back at a pretty high clip, 39-22-1 ATS in week 2.
Oh, okay.
In games that they only win 32 out of 32 and 30 straight up. So, obviously mini close your eyes special, kind of a hyper focused week one overreaction type trend, right? These are the teams that get blown out week one. They come back. They look a lot stronger. If you want to, remember, maybe we get in the time machine and we remember last year when this went 5-1, the only team that lost was the Rams not covering 10.5 against the Falcons.
That was a bonkers game.
So
and Falcons kind of backdoored that.
Interestingly enough, like Packers -10 was on this list. So it's not just all dogs. It's not just they're covering numbers. They're winning outright.
So Ryan, you're on the Philadelphia Eagles laying 6. Hey, before we go on to the next game, we have to play a clip. This is an all-time Eagles fan getting into it with a Vikings fan. This was 2017 NFC Championship. Eagles won, of course, 38-17 or 38.
Go Bears! Go Bears!
It's so great. The visual is very strong as well. YouTube.com/sportsgambling podcast.
I mean, I was just waiting for that like big man with a beard, just with a full like body right hook right through that kid's face. That kid clearly hasn't been punched too many times. I mean, his hands are way down. All right, let's head over to Sunday. Sean, how you feeling about Thursday night football week 2? It's almost too fast, right?
It is quick turnaround. Yeah. I realize that.
How are you feeling personally?
I'm ready. I'm
got right back into it. No issues with the hammies, no soreness, no vet day needed.
I'm feeling good. Yeah, I had my Vegas recovery days. I'm ready to go out. I mean, we're going to be right back in Vegas on Friday night for our live VSiN show, 9:00 Pacific.
Just hit me.
But yeah, I'm ready to go. It is fun. Obviously, you got to get the win, but getting that, because then once you get that Thursday night win, you get that Thursday night cover, you are just cruising. You're playing with house money the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, feet up on the table. You don't got to worry about it. Just relaxed football. I would say be careful because you could always end up with a little too much action. Get a little reckless Saturday night. All the Shefty bombs come out. You think you're going to beat everyone in the market. You got all these props. All right, Sunday morning, a game that I definitely want to get involved in prop wise. The Los Angeles Chargers, they take to the road where they tend to be a better team. Tennessee, the Titans, Mike Vrabel. Maybe he'll be cutting another game from a 1-score game to a smaller 1-score game. Titans +3, +124.
I mean, we should nominate Mike Vrabel for Real Men of Degens. The fact that he just down 4 points.
SGPN presents Real Men of Degens. Real Men of Degens. We salute you.
Mike Vrabel inside the opponent's red zone, down 4 points. A lot of coaches would go for it, risk it all. Not you. Kept it close to the vest. Made sure you got those points. Cut it from a 4-point game to a 3-point game with 2:15 left to go. Hey, you had those 3 timeouts. You had the 2-minute warning. Couldn't get the stop. But most importantly, Mike Vrabel, you got the cover. And that's what we care about here on the Sports Gambling Podcast. So salute, Mike Vrabel. Great coaching.
It's like a big score, little score. They're both 1 score, but for Vrabel, it's big score, bigger than small score. I mean, maybe he just didn't think his team could score a touchdown. Needed 2 field goals, Sean. It was a 2-possession game for old Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, admittedly, my Ryan Tannehill MVP ticket not looking too good.
Again, one of the things I'm also kind of looking at this week is taking teams that I think they all have looked in the mirror and realized that maybe they needed to go a little harder in the preseason. Eagles, one of them. I think they spoke publicly about it. Another one I think is Tennessee. The Titans are now +3, +124 at home. Chargers -148. 45 is the total. As you can see on the screen, if you're watching, the Chargers are also one of our very public teams this week, which West Coast team coming east. The mighty Titans come home after playing in a tricky road spot against the new look Saints. We're not sure if this defense is elite. Maybe it is. Maybe the defense is really good. What scares me about a Titan, as I'm an adopted Titans fan this season,
tighten up.
Well, DeAndre, our SGPN football doc pointing out that he was rubbing a part of his ankle. That's a little scary. So D Hop did show up on the injury report. That makes me a little nervous. But what I really just want to see him in this, do in this game is just run the fucking ball. Like, go out there, run the ball.
You got Derrick
Tannehill some better situations to throw. I mean, some of his throws were really bad.
Well, also,
let's try to avoid those. Let's not do that.
I mean, they had some guys wide open down the field. I don't know if it was him being a little. It looked like he kind of had the yips. Chig was wide open and he just
because he didn't
it.
Play again. These guys
there was just a lot of sloppy play. We got. And I do think teams like the Titans, who had that road game in a tough spot against the Saints defense, now looking at it, probably pretty decent, but now coming back home, I think this is a great spot for them, especially for a soft ass Chargers team. You're bringing the physicality. You're bringing Derrick Henry, AKA the big dog. Austin Eckler is a little bit banged up. Mike Vrabel, 23-9 ATS is an underdog of 3 or more points. Love that. And for the Titans, Arden Key generated a league high 11 pressures in his Titans debut, 4 more than any other player league wide. I think they can get a pass rush on Justin Herbert. I think they're going to be able to pressure him. And you look at the other side, the Chargers defense really struggled. So if there is a get right game for Manahill, AKA, and winning over the Tana stands, I think it might be this game because I think Durham Smythe was, getting work against this Chargers team. I think Chig can.
Oh, I like it. You're still in on the Chig. The Chig wagon is moving strong.
100% on Chig.
You didn't mention it, but Austin Eckler. I know we like to think, well, Josh Kelly looked great in the preseason this year. We hear Austin Eckler on his own show saying that Josh Kelly's a great handcuff. This almost feels like insider trading. Can we investigate Austin Eckler here? Is he going to play? I kind of think he's still going to play, but we've seen this in the past when Eckler's not 100%, it really affects this offense. It's like Keenan Allen and Eckler are the things that are really required to make this offense go. We've already seen Mike Williams. Do we know, is he going to make it back with the concussion? It seems like receivers in the new 2023 concussion stuff, receivers are almost certainly going to miss a game. I feel like that's a safe assumption at this point. I like the way that they looked as an offense, but they found a way to Charger. And Tennessee, while they looked like relative garbage on the road, I mean that game is the all-time example.
Well, their offense, their defense, I thought looked pretty good.
Well, both teams shit the bed a bunch in the scoring zone, and so I guess for better or for worse,
I mean they let up 16 points on the road. You got to get that dub.
And so the other thing I would call out is I would be willing to start to wonder if we're going to be wrong about. Are we wrong about what the offensive changes were going to be in Chargerville, aka they were going to start throwing the ball down the field more because they didn't.
Well, part of that, it seemed like Fangio. Their game plan was, hey, you want to run for 8 yards every time, do it, and the Chargers did. So I think they are going to try and take some deep shots. What I'm banking on is guys like Arden Key getting the pressure on Herbert before they can complete those passes downfield.
Now you know where Staley got it from, his mentor, Mr. Fangio, right? Like he played the same defense against him. And so, is it a fair narrative to say that this offense isn't changed, or was it just the matchup as you're suggesting? I still worry because the Titans back end, we saw them have some massive problems against a Saints team that we don't know is going to have a good passing offense. Olave is really good, but if they have the same problems against the Chargers, I do think that Herbert's gonna get it done. I still have to take the Titans. I have to take the Titans. It's the convergence of a spot, a team coming off a tough road spot. Chargers coming off a good home game where they just blew it. Normally, I would like the Chargers on the road.
They blow it every fucking time, and I'm mad at myself that we both talked ourselves into the Chargers -3. They were going to charge the entire time. The Dolphins left tackle Teron Armstead was out. Joey Bosa, wake the fuck up. They were almost dead last in the league on pressure. How could you not get any pressure on Tua? Insane.
Tua did have a good game. I mean, he shares the same MVP odds as Mr. Patrick Mahomes. So you go process that in your blender. All right, so we're just gonna agree again. Is Tennessee the team that we're just gonna like stupidly follow down into the depths of the fucking ocean.
I think they're a well-coached team. I think they play hard. I think they're a pretty physical
Tannehill
team.
looked fucking horrible.
And I don't think they get any respect in the market.
He was rusty, right? He was rusty.
No, but you could make a great case as to why that makes them a valuable team. Tannehill played the worst fucking game of all time. He threw 3 interceptions. They still covered the spread.
Yeah, that's great spin.
And they're a dog again. Yeah. If they were a big favorite, they're not a team I'm going to be looking to lay a bunch of points, but as a home dog, that's tighten up territory.
And having the ultimate tiebreaker of Vrabel is willing to cut a 2 field goal game to a 1 field goal game late in a game when you're catching 3. That's a nice nice ace up your sleeve.
Anytime the Chargers are favored by 3, I'm fading them because the idea that they are going to pull out a close win is just bonkers. What am I thinking?
Yeah, the chat suggesting maybe some first half action on the Chargers. Sean, maybe a little double result here.
Yeah, stay tuned for the props show coming up on Friday. Chargers win the first half, Titans win the game. That is going to be delicious.
That's going to be like 14-1.
No, don't alert the chat.
It's now all the value.
Hammer.
It's all out. All right, moving along. Game number 2, which by the way, Sean, ask me if we have 8 games in the early window, so God's eye can be perfect. We have 8 games.
Really?
We might have to pull out the teardrop so we can get red zone going on.
Oh, because I was spacing it out and I looked at 9, but of course the first game's Thursday. So yeah, you're right. 8 perfect games.
We did it again. Only 4 in the late afternoon window because we have 2 Monday night games at the same time. We're gonna have to have. We got to have a little one-on-one with Goodell later on in the episode. Green Bay, the Packers are heading down to Atlanta. This is a low key, like fun Jersey matchup game. Should be played around Christmas though. Packers are laying 2 on the road. What? -130 on the money line. Falcons +110. 40 is the total. Packers back-to-back road spot. Also the public side. Oh, look at these graphics, Sean. Very nice.
Nice work.
The production team has been slaving away. Came out looking sharp. And again, this is a lot of these spots. And call me an old vet. It just seems like I look at the matchup. It's like, oh, okay, Green Bay coming off a matchup where they always dominate, flowchart game. Now they're going on the road for the second game in a row against the team that may may just be better at what they want to do than them on their own turf. Oh, you're one of these haters. You're one of these haters.
Well, I have Kyle Pitts in my fantasy team, and his air yards are through the roof, and they just won't get him the ball.
Well, in this
Why
case,
does Arthur Smith keep doing this to us, Ryan? He drafts these guys really high, and then they're skill players, but he does not. Does he understand target share percentage?
I
don't think Arthur Smith is a good coach, but I do enjoy how he's just.
What do you mean?
Personally trolling the fantasy community.
Let's be objective.
Yeah.
In the first of all, I have been replying to all those fantasy people want to know, and some of these conversation threads have gotten way too long because draft capital gets involved. It's like all the buzzwords, PSI. Excuse me. But my take is in the offseason, what did we say? Well, they spent a bunch of money in the defense, so that should improve. Now people are fucking surprised that the defense is looking better. And we said,
well, they also played a quarterback in his first career start,
but that last year's defense wouldn't have been able to do that. They didn't have Jesse Bates, playmaker in the back end. They got some pass rush now. They also went out and intentfully brought in people that were physical motherfuckers to play ground and pound mustache lifestyle football. So what happens? Well, yes, they're playing Bryce Young in their first start, but they beat him up. And what happens? The small lead goes to a big lead in the fourth quarter because that's what happens when you run the ball more than you pass the ball. John Madden would be so proud and so
He's
disappointed.
One of those guys who will get penetration
in you and trying to take the inferior ground and pound unit in Green Bay. Aaron Jones hamstring injury. That's scary because once again it seemed eye test that AJ Dillon maybe isn't a second round pick worth taking to piss off Aaron Rodgers. I do think if Aaron Jones isn't 100%, this is a game. There's no way you can take the Packers. He was everything for them. Their defense played well, but they didn't play a team that was going to line up and do what the Falcons did. I don't know what the Bears were trying to do in that game, Sean.
Bears ran the ball a bunch. The underlying story that you're missing, Ryan, is the Packers' run defense is greatly improved. Khalil Herbert.
Disagree. When you're playing someone that can't pass the ball, it's easy to play run defense.
Well, you think Desmond Ridder can pass the ball?
Yes.
115 passing yards.
He didn't have to pass the ball. They won by what do you? If I were to come at you with an argument like this in a game where if Jalen Hurts didn't have to throw the ball, Desmond Ridder didn't have to throw the ball. I hate what people are saying about this. They won the game by 2 touchdowns. They didn't have to pass the ball.
Right.
Why is that a negative?
I don't think it is a negative. Congratulations on the Falcons. Congratulations on us for both picking the Falcons. What I'm saying is I think they're going to have to pass in this game, and I don't trust Desmond Ridder as a quarterback. And I'm pointing out the Packers rush defense played a pretty important role in slowing down the Chicago Bears. Khalil Herbert 9 for 27, Roshan Johnson 5 for 20, Foreman 5 for 16. They did a good job of slowing them down. They didn't let Justin Fields go off. I think they saw some ways
the game was out of hand early. They had to pass. I mean, again, I hear what you're saying. I don't think this Green Bay run defense has gone from the worst unit to the best unit overnight.
I don't think they did it either, but I think they played the run much better than they had previously. They held Fields under 60 yards.
It's another like if Aaron Jones isn't 100%, what's the weapon? Luke Musgrave.
Yeah. 3 for 50 looked very good. And I think he's going to be a tough matchup for them along with Romeo Doubs. And I think Matt LaFleur is
Doubs
a better
is also banged up.
Yeah. And he played great last week. I think they have the better coach. They have the better quarterback. I think Jordan Love is better than Desmond Ridder. I think he's more experienced. I think maybe sitting the bench for a couple years there is what he needed. So yeah, I'm in on the Packers.
I don't hate Love. I will say just again, I test
Arthur Smith 4-8-1 ATS after a win. Falcons in general 7-25 against the spread at home following a home win.
Again, I think this is a different Falcons team. They were pounding a team in the fourth quarter. Our guy Tyler Algier 2 touchdowns. Bijan looks legit. I think again, this team, they might be not throwing the ball to Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and that's somehow creating this negative reputation for the team. Mac Holland is still out there knocking dudes on their fucking ass. I don't understand why they're not favored here. Like I'm dead serious. I don't even.
I could see if you want to say the line should be
-2, -3.
Atlanta -1, something like that. 3. Yeah, totally. But
-3. Why is it not -3? Green Bay just beat the shit out of a team they always beat the shit out of.
Not crossing a bunch of key numbers, and I think Green Bay is the better team.
Oh my God, Sean, this is your worst take of the week. I'm stamping it right now. Atlanta.
I'm guessing you're on Atlanta.
I'm on Atlanta.
Okay.
I think we're going to see a similar game, especially if Aaron Jones's hamstring is bothering him. Indy, the Colts, Anthony Richardson, I will admit, looked better than I thought he would. They're laying a point here at my Texans. +100 for the Texans. Colts -120. 39 is the total. Oh boy. I mean, one of these teams, the AFC South is very quickly turning. I mean, the Jags could run away with it, and they're horrible. I shouldn't say they're horrible. They have flaws. The Colts look like they're going to be in a lot of games. The defense looks good. Do we have a Shaq Leonard update? Did he get through the game unscathed?
That's a great question because he usually back-to-back games.
House of Cards over there with the Jim Irsay. I'm concerned if I'm a Colts fan that Anthony Richardson's already banged up. And I love the quote of, well, he could have gone back in there if they were still in the game. Well, he just got hurt because you thought you were still in the game. The fuck are you talking about? A very fortunate cover there for the Jags, some would say. On the other side, they were right on the edge of they got down to the 1 or 2 yard line. But again, he said they weren't. He said that he could have played if they were in the game, yet he was hurt playing in the game. Like 2 minutes. Like
also it shouldn't have mattered because they should have just kicked the field goal.
Football guy move.
To cut it. You were down 2 scores. You needed 2 scores.
What would Mike Vrabel do? That's the meme we have to. What would Vrabel definitely would have known to kick the field goal there.
This game's interesting because I do think the Texans defense probably the best unit on the field.
Would you say is it fair to say that they were kind of impressive? I thought if you
they gave Lamar some trouble. Yeah.
Rewatch that game. Lamar and that offense did not look good. They had a couple.
Some of that I do think is Lamar too.
Couple fortunate outcomes, and yeah, I'm optimistic for the Texans. I know that's probably not so that's not
Falcons,
an objective take.
Texans.
But in this game, to me but again, we're back to just like simple handicap. Should Anthony Richardson be a favorite on the road?
That to me is crazy. But I would say the counter is the flow chart. The Colts own the Texans.
Yes.
Even when they have guys like Carson Wentz, even when they have
guys like Carson
Matt
Wentz.
Ryan, they figure out ways to beat the Texans. But to your point, why it feels like they're both rookie quarterbacks, rookie head coaches. Shouldn't the Texans be the home favorite here? I do think the Colts did a good job of stopping the run. I do think that could cause some problems there for Dameon Pierce. But on the other side, the Colts.
That's the biggest lopsided matchup, right?
Yeah. The Colts
versus CJ Stroud.
Yeah. The Colts extremely thin at running back. Deion Jackson had 13 carries, 14 yards. Evan Hull is banged up. They're just a complete mess. It's going to come down to Anthony Richardson running around. And I do think Anthony Richardson looked better than CJ Stroud. The counter to that counter is Texans at home.
Yeah.
This is just an ugly game. Please don't lock this up, Ryan.
No, this, but it falls into a similar category. You have the Colts who are in an optimal situation at home, but they always lose week one.
I'm laughing at the YouTube chat. Easy saying Kramer had in his notes last year, don't fall in love with the Texans, and abandoned that before the season started.
I don't know what it is. Just lovable losers. I think. Yeah, I think you have the Texans coming home off of a bad,
Okay.
Would we agree that the loss wasn't maybe the score doesn't makes it seem worse than it was? They were kind of hanging around.
They didn't, they scored 9 points.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to see touchdowns.
Touchdowns are nice.
Texans. I know you're not, I don't want to insult teams who didn't score a touchdown week one, Ryan, but I think not scoring a touchdown is a big thing, and we'll get to it when we talk the Ravens. But they had cornerback issues, and I didn't see anything out of that Texans passing game. So if the Colts can slow down the running game and the Texans can't get anything going with the passing game, this game is going to come down to how many turnovers does Anthony Richardson have. If he has one,
I can't do it.
If he has one, I think they're good. If they have two or more, dude, I think it's Colts.
It's a road game for Anthony Richardson. We have no idea what that's going to look like. We saw CJ Stroud in the worst possible situation on the road week one against Baltimore. You know what? Give me the Houston Texans. Home divisional dogs.
Shocking the world.
Home divisional dogs. You know those are profitable long term, Sean. We highlighted the week one trend. The early season trend expands out similarly. Oh my goodness, what just happened?
Your sheet's all fucked up, Ryan. I don't mean to insult your sheet on the air, but
oh my god,
the random stuff is in bold. There's
you fucking.
I wasn't
for those.
All I'm doing is entering in the team names.
If we've ever collaborated in a sheet with Sean, you understand. I'll just leave it at that. Shout out to those people. Give me Houston. I don't know anyone that's ever collaborated in a Google sheet with you.
I'll go with Indy. I like Anthony Richardson.
Come on, Sean. On the road,
most exciting player on the field.
We have to be focused on that. Maybe young people will look better at home than on the road earlier in their career. We have to remember that. Final answer.
Okay. Yep, I'm sticking with Indy.
I tried. Guys.
Maybe you've
fallen back in love with Indy. It seems. Is this a new Andrew Luck?
Oh, I didn't have Indy.
Oh, hold on. Is this Black Andrew Luck?
I had Ravens week one. What are you talking about?
No, you've fallen back in love with Indy, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
that's my new nickname for Anthony Richardson, Black Andrew Luck.
Well, Andrew Luck won me a lot of money, so if he has the same ATS record, then I'm going to be loving some Anthony Richardson. Maybe I'll fly down to Houston, support my Indianapolis Colts. If I do, I'm going to need some last minute tickets. You know what I'm doing. I'm firing up the Game Time app. I've already signed up. I've already claimed my $20 off. using the promo code SGPN, but you still have time to do it. If you haven't signed up, what are you waiting for? Treat yourself this weekend. Go out, see some college football, see some NFL football, go out, experience the tailgate. Maybe your team has a primetime Thursday night game. Go Birds. Not just sports either. Concerts, comedy. Take the wife out during the week. There's no action right now. Wednesday night, perfect night for date night. Friday night, Thursday night, there's NFL, college. Saturday, Monday night football, but Tuesday and Wednesday right now, perfect time to take the wife, the girlfriend, or maybe both, depending on your lifestyle. Take them out to a nice little concert and save a couple bucks on the tickets. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Download the Game Time app or go to gametime.co. Create the account. Use promo code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase.
So the flow chart would tell you a final thing on the Texans and Colts would tell you Indy.
Yes.
But last year the Texans were 1-0-1 against the Colts. Who can remember that riveting tie? And then that 32-31 game at the, I mean, just two of the most important matchups of the season. Perhaps this will be another one. All right. Another 10 a.m. kick here. Seattle. Sean, we have our first Close Your Eyes special. The Seahawks, of course, reminder for those who don't know, the Close Your Eyes special underperformed the spread by 21 points. And you're catching points the next week. Long-term success. I don't have the exact number. It doesn't matter. It'll be in the sheet though. Definitely have the long-term number in the sheet. So Seattle is in that spot. They of course got their ass beat by the Rams. And now they're catching 5.5 points against the Detroit Lions, who are coming off that Thursday night football win against the Chiefs. Some say they dumped the Gatorade potentially in that one. A little bit of celebration, although Dan Campbell not surprised. It's what he expected. I love that.
That would be great if just a coach goes, I was shocked. I actually had the Chiefs in my survivor pool. I was shocked we won.
Minus 230 for the Lions, plus 190 for the Seahawks. 47.5 is the total. I think this is going to get old, but Dino, yeah, he wrote back way too many times.
That I identified the Seahawks as a fraud.
Not all the way on that yet, but
had the Rams on the money line. The difference is, and crazy stat that we had over at youtube.com/sportsgaming podcast, the Lions being 10-1 ATS their last 11 games. I think the market's finally caught up to this Lions team. I understand they have little extra rest, which I don't think matters as much early on. Here's what I do think matters. There's a couple injury things going on. Devin Witherspoon, number 5 pick overall, he's making his debut. So he was injured, missed that first game against the Rams, aka Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell going off. Witherspoon, having him back there, even though he's a rookie, I feel like that's got to help. To me, this is.
We thought he would be the guy ready to go. Early on,
he seemed cornerback, like plug and play,
NFL ready. Jamal Adams back too, right?
Yeah,
maybe that matters. He seems to cause mayhem, whether it's good or bad. Or chaos, maybe is a better term. Whether it's good or bad for his team, we'll see.
Well, and let's be real. The Lions offense didn't look that good against a very suspect Kansas City defense. That Kansas City defense, one, isn't great to start. They didn't have their best player. He was sitting out, and they only put up 14 points. I thought the Lions offense looked pretty out of sync. They did get that pick 6, and kudos to them for getting that win and getting the cover. I'm not trying to diminish it too much, but I don't think like the offense looked amazing. They weren't throwing darts all over the field.
Tirico wanted to put an asterisk on it.
Yeah, that. Hey, they won the game, but let's take a look at the Seahawks team. The Seahawks team did do some things right. They held the Rams to 92 rushing yards on 40 carries. Some of that was them running the clock when the game was out of hand, but I thought overall their rushing defense was pretty good, and I think that's how they're going to beat the Lions. I also think DK Metcalf, there were guys open, and some of that's probably Andy Reid scheming guys open, but there were guys open against that Lions secondary. They just couldn't take advantage of it. They didn't have Travis Kelce.
They lose the game if Kadarius Toney is not playing receiver.
The Lions, to be clear, yes.
The Lions. If Young Joka is just in the lab working on the next album, Chiefs win that game.
Tyler Lockett dealing with a concussion issue, but I think he's going to be good. I think DK Metcalf actually could have a really big game in this dome environment. I think Geno Smith actually has a okay bounce back game. To me, this is where we want to play the Seahawks, right? Not as a decent favorite, but as a underdog. When their expectations are low, that's when you want to get on Seattle. Seattle 51-35-3 against the spread as a dog in the Pete Carroll era. I keep wanting to look for opportunities to fade the Lions as decent sized favorites. I think this is the time, and then obviously the close your eyes special. So yeah, give me Seattle plus 5.5.
It's ugly though. The tackles are out. They signed Jason Peters. That's
always a bad sign. And if they lose the game, I think it's Hutchinson wrecking one of these backup tackles. Which is my biggest concern.
He might have small hands. Once shook hands with him, and I do have question on that. But I would say this: if I'm Pete Carroll, I have to see that Kansas City had success running the ball, but Andy Reid did what Andy Reid does and forgot about running the ball. I think I actually kind of disagree with your game plan. I think that Pete Carroll needs to come out, pound the rock with K9, pound the rock with Zach Charbonnet, do whatever you got to do, make it easier for Geno Smith. Maybe it's a little bit more of we're going to take some shots. We're going to run some play action, but we got to protect this offensive line and pound the rock. So again, they're not meant to look good, but this is also a very clear case of catching a team coming off a bad spot, really bad spot in Seattle. And then you have a Detroit team coming off of the best possible spot. Now I know they're coming home now, but from a value perspective, there's no way. Do we know? I believe this was a 3 point, 3.5 maybe in the look at.
Yeah. I just think it's a 2.5 point swing for a team that I think is a little overhyped, but still decent. I like Pete Carroll off a loss. I like Pete Carroll as a dog. I think this is actually a good spot for them.
All right, let's do it. Next up, 10 a.m.
So to be clear, you're on Seattle.
Oh yeah, I abide by the close your eyes special. Very never will I go against the close your eyes special. It's my favorite trend of all the trends.
It is a company play.
It's somewhere in the 64% range long term, I believe. I'll check the numbers. 10 a.m. The Bears heading down to Tampa. Don't know if there's any sort of strip club problems here, but if I'm going to circle a guy, it's Chase Claypool. I remember when he threw that lipper in, had no idea what he was biting off. They're catching 2.5 here, Sean, plus 120 on the money line, minus 142 for Baker and the Bucks. 40.5 is the total. This feels like another one where Bears always get their ass kicked by Green Bay. Now they are going on the road to Tampa to take on a team that mildly fraudulent win.
Tampa?
Yeah.
Oh, I disagree. I thought they were the better team.
Okay.
It didn't feel that fraudulent to me.
I don't. Okay. No.
What I'm saying, what felt fraudulent?
I mean, Kirk Cousins gifted them some stuff. I don't think they won the game more than the Vikings lost the game.
Oh,
I don't know how you have Justin Jefferson go off in the first half and you forget about him in the second half. I think this was a classic case of someone overthought something on the Minnesota side of this.
So I think
Tampa played fine. Like they didn't do anything bad. I don't think they did anything spectacular.
I think their defense played really, really well. That's why I liked them. That's why I thought they had a shot to win the game.
So you're going to take them again?
Oh, 100%. This is, and I know you're I know you're a market dynamics guy, so you can talk yourself into the Bears here, Ryan. But this Bucks team, the defense flies around. They create turnovers. I think that's how they won the game. To me, you're looking at Justin Fields road starts 13 road starts, 2-11 straight up, 10 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He's coming off a game where he had a 3.3 average depth of target. The Bears defense was pretty bad. There is opportunities in that secondary. If you're low on Jordan Love, what he did with just having Romeo Doubs and Luke Musgrave, who you say aren't that great of weapons, I think you got to be high on guys like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin.
Do we have weather?
It's going to be humid. I'm seeing 88 degrees, 72% humidity. I love taking Florida teams at home in September.
I do like that angle. We're not worried about this number.
What would I be worried about?
basic ass you're laying 2.5. You want to be in that position?
Yeah, for this game, 100%. This is a good spot for the Bucks. I think their defense is.
This strikes
good.
me as the kind of game where Justin Fields goes bananas. Like everything that people were expecting in last week's game, like 15 carries, 160 yards.
In that heat and humidity, I think it's going to be tough.
I think this is going to be the random fun game of the week. I'm definitely going to have some DFS stacks in here, and I'm going to take Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields gets career win number 6. That's my prediction here. Career win number 6.
Wow.
In the
Hot
old
take.
in the fanny pack, throw it. You make sure you get that fanny pack to go through security a little easier. Society is just going the wrong way. We don't have to bring those things back. They're not more convenient. You just want to have a purse. That's all it is. You see what it is? All the guys who had fanny packs, they're now just flat out wearing purses. Sean's clearly not as fired up as I am. 10 a.m.
Got
on
a lot of games to get to.
I understand. Vegas, the Raiders coming off a nice little win there in Denver. No one expected that. Back-to-back road spot here. They will be staying at the Greenbrier in West Virginia, doing some
team building,
culture building. Bills coming off Monday Night Football, horrible loss. They're laying 8.5 here, minus 395 on the money line. Raiders plus 310. 46.5 is the total. This has got to be obviously the teaser's in play here with the Bills, right? But they're staying in West Virginia, Sean. Do we think that maybe the book on McDaniels, it's all been a ruse? The culture is going to be to me, McDaniels in West Virginia is a bad thing. I think too much time for his culture is bad culture, so this isn't a good thing. I was kind of worried about this game. I was getting too deep into some of the numbers, Josh Allen versus the zone, and how good the Raiders were playing zone in week 1. But no, I came to my senses. Bills by 1 million.
I was hearing our strip club sources in Las Vegas say Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, and maybe even the coach Josh McDaniels. Maybe a little team building activity at the old gentleman's club. Here's my take. I think this is just a great bounce back spot for the Buffalo Bills. I understand it's a short week, but I don't think the Raiders aren't the Jets, right? The Jets know how to beat Josh Allen. They have Sauce Gardner. They have elite level cornerbacks. Raiders got that win. That was a kind of ugly win. It was a division game. This is a tough spot for them too. You're in Vegas, then you go play a tough game at Elevation. Then you got to keep traveling all the way up to Buffalo. Also, if they go 1-1 in this road trip, are they feeling that bad about themselves?
That's a good point.
I think they'll still feel okay. They would still be 1-0 in the division. Josh Allen's really good against the spread after a loss. 9-4 since his second season. I want to keep fading Josh McDaniels on the road.
Not worried about the turnovers for Josh.
I think
old
this
Joshy
regress.
boy.
I think this is a game where he doesn't turn the ball over.
Too much focus will be placed on it. Yeah, I would. I mean, this has been the constant theme, but teams coming off so Vegas has owned the Broncos. Well, they just owned the Broncos again. Not really, but they won the game. So they're riding high. Bills, they're owned by the Jets lately. This just happened again. It seems like an obvious spot. I don't know why I was lingering on the Raiders, but I'm back on Buffalo. Don't worry. Have no fear.
I get it.
Josh Allen better not F us in the B, as they say.
You're a Josh Allen hater. I understand.
His brain is down in New Jersey now. That's just objective take. 10 a.m. on the West.
Well, that is. We have to discuss that though.
Oh.
If he took Josh Allen's brain, what did he do with it? Because it's not going to Brian Table. If you saw that offense, right? Maybe Josh Allen's brain got lost.
What the fuck are you talking about? We established the offensive line did not allow the offense to operate. Pay attention, dude. Do you know?
I'm missing the talking points.
Guys are starting to wonder if you know ball. 10 a.m. on the West Coast. The Kansas City Chiefs are heading to Jacksonville. Hot tub. Plus 3.5 for the Jags. Plus 155 on the money line. Chiefs minus 185. 51 is the total. Again, everyone betting the Chiefs here, coming off a loss. Andy Reid off the mini bye. Fairly basic handicap, but I Kelsey's going to be back. Chris Jones is back. Why are we taking the 3? Why we're obviously laying the 3.5 and not taking it, right?
This is tough because you think Kansas City would be really good against the spread after a loss, but in the Mahomes era, they're only 12-12 ATS. Doug P 12-4 against the spread as a home dog, stat courtesy of our boy Adam Rosenberg. I'm a little torn here because I get getting Chris Jones back, Travis Kelce. They're going to want to put it on him.
I'll tell you.
On the other side, you have a Jags team, home dog. They're going to be getting up for this game. It's a Florida team in September. That is a tough spot to go in and get a big win and a cover. The last thing that has me leaning the Chiefs is, well, one, Cam Robinson, their left tackle, he's been suspended, and then Brandon Sheriff, their right guard, who he's dealing with an ankle injury. If he doesn't play, that's pretty big.
I mean, it seems like he's not going to play. It seemed like they weren't optimistic, at least. So that's not good. And I think that was the one element of the game where without Chris Jones and with that dominant offensive line for the Lions, the Chiefs defense struggled. I don't know if that's going to be the same story. If the Jags offensive line is a little bit in shambles, we saw Trevor make some Trevor type plays. I'm in on the Chiefs here. If not for the bounce back, more to also just think I think that the Chiefs defense will be able to attack that offensive line, but I also think the Chiefs offense is going to be able. I mean, Anthony Richardson had a good debut, partially because the Jags defense isn't that good. That's my take on that.
Ivetta's in the chat. She's a Jags gal. I'm going Jags. Give me Jags plus 3.5. I don't feel this is not going to make it into my dog card because I'm not confident. I'm not that confident on the Jags. I think this feels like a field goal game. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be fun to watch.
Aren't there going to be a lot of Chiefs fans there?
I think they're kind of back in Jacksonville these days. The Jags. They got a new. You can park your personal watercraft at the stadium.
That is nice of them, and the hot tub thing is fun. Good for Jacksonville. I'm happy things are going well. 10 a.m. on the West Coast. Last of the early kicks. Baltimore, Cincinnati, little AFC North battle here. Bengals coming off. We'll call it. It does seem like people are making excuses for Joe Burrow, but they looked like shit. Cincinnati minus 3.5 here, minus 180 on the money line. Baltimore plus 150. 46.5 is the total. As we mentioned earlier, obvious bounce back spot here for Cincy. Again, coming off a situation, they get owned by Cleveland. They got owned by Cleveland. Burrow starts slow. He started slow. Baltimore, they took care of business. They always take care of business week 1 against inferior opponents. And now they're struggling with some cluster injuries, offensive line, defensive backfield. That's not good. Got to check to see what's in the water out there in Baltimore. Maybe they're eating too many of those crabs.
I really like the Bengals here. I understand the stats of Ravens have done well ATS against the Bengals. Some of that has been with their backup quarterback in there and them catching a big number. But to your point, the Ravens injuries, their tackle Ronnie Stanley, their center Tyler Linderbaum, Marlon Humphrey, their safety Marcus Williams. I rewatched the Bengals Browns condensed game earlier today to kind of get a feel. Was it the injury that was slowing down Joe Burrow, or was it more a general out of syncness, a general weather, some sloppiness, Browns kind of knowing what they wanted to do?
What's your take?
I think it was more the second than actually the calf injury holding him back.
Bad weather.
Yeah, I think that did. Like, you looked at his grip; he wasn't gripping the ball well.
Does he have small hands?
No, but Watson looked like shit too. I thought it was just an ugly slap fest of a game. It's a classic AFC North division game. It was not shocking. We were both on the Browns there. I get they started out 0-2 last year. Maybe that happens again here, but I think this is a great bounce back spot. Joe Burrow 13-3 against the spread after a loss. The Bengals only got 6 first downs last week. Spoiler alert, they're going to get more than 6 first downs this week. And the Ravens, we didn't even mention J.K. Dobbins tore his Achilles. Lastly, the real reason I am fading the Ravens big time here is Lamar Jackson had 2 fumbles, one of which ended up being a turnover. But on one of the fumbles, he pulled a complete Cam Newton where he did not dive on that ball.
Man,
this
a business
is
decision.
It's a guy who doesn't have that dog mentality. I was, as a guy who's had moments cheering for Lamar Jackson, I was really, dude, come on. You got to fall on that ball. He did one of these where he almost jumped on the ball, held back. I didn't like what I saw there. I think they're giving you the 3.5 so you can have your little hook and feel good. Oh, I got a hook just in case I need it against Joe Burr. Bengals at home, they get it done in a big way.
It is obvious. They started slow last year, 0-2. I think they played the Cowboys maybe in week 2. This is a little different with the divisional spot. And remember, last we saw these teams playing, Tyler Huntley almost got it done. He was like this close, Sean. You're watching on YouTube. Maybe I'm showing you a third of the size of my parlay from last week on the Veasan show. So this one is tough because my instincts say you're taking Cincy here. They're coming off, like you mentioned, a horrible spot where they always look horrible, and Baltimore looked as good as they're gonna. Baltimore looked good because they played a first-time coach, first-time quarterback.
I don't think they look particularly sharp.
No, I'm just saying if you look at the scoreboard and you're like, oh, okay, I can deal with this. And again, everyone knows it's sharp to lay the 3.5, not take the 3.5.
And Zay Flowers looked good, but I think in some ways that's got to be concerning for the Ravens because you saw him out targeting Rashad Bateman, Odell Beckham Jr. He became. Like those are veteran guys that are supposed to be a big part of your passing game.
You did draft him in the first round, and I did tell you he was going to be the best of the rookie receivers.
Yeah,
this year. So far, looking like a sharp take by me. Yeah, I'm with you. Let's lay the points here. I'm not on that many favorites this week, Sean. Not like you.
That is troubling. What do you mean? I'm on plenty of dogs.
Chalkerson over here.
I got one, two, three dogs. Okay. What are you talking about?
Chalky McChalker.
Speaking of dogs, I love dogs, including Underdog Fantasy. If you haven't signed up with Underdog, play their pick 'em yet for the NFL. What are you waiting for? They're running a pretty cool promotion. If you include Tua's passing yards in your higher or low pick'ems, where you again pick higher, lower, 3 fantasy stats, you go 3-0, you get plus 600. You go 5 for 5, you get 20x. All you got to do is include Tua's passing yards, either go higher or lower, in your pick'em this week. They're picking 10 people randomly. You don't even have to win. They're picking 10 people to each give 10K away. How fun is that? And you get the bonus sign up deposit promo code SGPN. Kramer, how say you? Higher or lower Tua's passing yards, 277.5.
Already in on it. Higher.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw, he threw for 400 plus yards. Easy money.
I'll go lower there. Woo! Yeah.
I like that because you can't have it go higher because Jalen Hurts just didn't. That's a smart take right there.
Well,
I see what you did.
We'll get to it when we break down the game. I do think it's interesting. Tua has kind of owned Belichick.
You think Tyreek's going to run slower up there? Long grass and Gillette.
I just don't see it being a shootout type game, but yeah, we'll get to it when we get to the Dolphins. But I'm going lower. I don't think he has a bad game, but I'll go slightly lower. I know what our boy Big Rob, he's going to be all over the higher there.
I got you, Big Rob. And just to be clear, you don't have to hit that to get entered in the drawing.
Winning does not matter.
I mean, I guess you can shit or get off the pot, as they say. 105 on the West Coast, the New York Football Giants, who I would imagine Mark Lewinsky will not be joining them in the desert. He's probably still on that boat somewhere in the Eastern Atlantic.
Oh, Ryan, road favorite, Giants getting all the money. Got to be stoked for that.
I'm very scared, and
a look ahead towards Thursday night.
Oh Jesus, -5.5. This number, it opened at 4. It's since climbed all the way to 5.5. Cardinals plus 210.
Underreaction of the week.
-258 on the money line. Giants 40 is the total. Very low number there. Now, I don't even know. Obviously, again, we deem right teams coming out of a situation that's been very horrible for them lately, aka the Giants playing the Cowboys over the last couple of years. So if we think about that, if we think about the way the game started and how it was basically over, the Giants offensive line in that state versus the Cowboys down three scores in the blink of an eye, not a good way to start. So maybe we can chalk it up as an outlier. Maybe we can chalk it up as that insane mismatch isn't going to exist in this game. And holy shit, I assume Mark Lewinsky's not going to play. Lastly, I think that, as you mentioned in the recap show, Josh Dobbs looked like hot shit. And if not for some mistakes by the offense of the Washington Commanders, Arizona may not have scored at all.
I don't think
you absolutely said he played like garbage.
I said he looked like hot shit.
You said he didn't look good, and that the only reason that the Commanders won the game is because he gave them the ball repeatedly.
I thought he looked, yeah, I wouldn't say horrible, but certainly, yeah, pretty, I would say lower than average. That being said, it's coming back, coming home, good spot for the Cardinals. Of course, Jonathan Gannon knows how to slow down that Giants offense. He's been doing it basically his entire career.
Oh, so now he's a good coach?
He's a good defensive coordinator, I think, in certain against weaker offensive opponents. Yes, in this case, I will hype up Jonathan Gannon because I think the Cardinals are going to be able to get pressure on Daniel Jones. They were able to get pressure on Sam Howell. I thought pretty, and they got a defensive touchdown out of it. Their defense, I think, to me, was the most surprising thing in that game. The offense did struggle. I think the offense will be a little bit better back at home, but I think the way you beat these Cardinals team is with some superior receivers and pass catchers. I just don't see them on this Giants roster right now. The Giants are on pace to be 0-17 with a net point differential of -680, which would be historic in the NFL. They got blown out 40-0, and there's no adjustment on this line. That to me is kind of crazy. Well, what was the look ahead line?
7.
Okay, so it did, but it went down to 4, and then I guess went up to 5.5.
You don't think that? I mean, but objectively, you don't think that when games like get completely out of hand, like there's a certain element of it that you can take it and project it over 17 games and sound like a real buffoon.
Certain teams will lay down when they get down early. Yeah, I agree. And maybe you don't take anything.
It just changes the way you play the game, because obviously you have to adjust your offensive game plan. You have to adjust what you're planning to do. If they come out and look like they looked in that first drive against the Cardinals and rinse and repeat that, it's a completely different story. To me, the handicap is about Andrew Thomas.
I think their offensive line is going to cost them the cover at the very least, possibly cost them the game. And they're looking ahead to a much better opponent on Thursday night. We saw both teams, the Eagles and the Vikings, not play their best games, kind of looking ahead towards that Thursday night. And that's something we've been seeing a ton in the NFL.
I don't think you can take this game with Andrew Thomas might not play.
Well, who's playing then?
If Andrew, I'm saying you can't take the Giants if Andrew Thomas doesn't play. And he right now, I mean, he played through the hamstring injury.
I think he probably plays, but he's not going to be 100%.
Why play him then? Save him for the Niners.
Maybe they do, but who's backing up Andrew Thomas?
Azudu, which means Glowinski might have to still play.
Well, yeah, I just think their offensive line is really going to be in trouble.
Sure. I mean, then what is this number about? Explain it to me.
What do you mean?
Like, it's a simple handicap to say, well, if they can't block him again, they're going to look like hot shit. So why are they laying 5.5 then, Sean?
Oh, because the preseason calibration on the Cardinals was they're the worst team in the NFL. They're laying down. They're trying to tank. Tell that to those guys in that locker room. Their effort was really good. I get that it wasn't super pretty, but I thought the guys played hard, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. Well, it's a defense versus defense bat. Which defense scores more points?
That's the other thing. I think if they can just limit the turnovers a little bit, or even if they do turn it over some,
you know, you know what the positive takeaway from the Giants was? They might have a couple rookie cornerbacks that can play. They weren't a ton of opportunities because again, the game went out of hand and that Dak wasn't really passing the ball, but I have a feeling we're going to see this defense show up. So I will as a symbol of my my alliance with the New York Football Giants. I will take them this week, but it's going to have to be Wink. The defense is going to have to score a touchdown.
So I can't take a team that's going to rely on a defensive touchdown.
Well, I think you just told me you're relying on a defensive touchdown.
No, I think the Cardinals defense is going to play really hard. Maybe they give up some stuff on the back end, but I don't know if the Giants have the weapons or the offensive line to make that happen.
I think they're looking, obviously if the offensive line looks the same way, they're not going to do anything. But if the offensive line holds up and they look like they did in that first drive, the Arizona defense is not the Cowboys defense.
That's true.
The
But
Cowboys
I thought
defense is maybe the best.
They went on
in the league,
they went on the road in a hostile environment and played really good ball. They as much as we made fun of Jonathan Gannon for his soft ass limp dick press conference and speeches and awkwardness, those guys got up for that game. Effort was not an issue for that Cardinals.
You think he's going to be able to get him up again?
I think since it's their first game at home, yeah. I think eventually if they keep losing, you lose the locker room. But I think game 2, with the fact that they had the lead going into the fourth quarter,
very limited offense. I think
I think he still has the team. Is my point.
I think here's what I would say. You need the worst case scenario to happen again for the Giants offense to be as limited as the Arizona offense is. So I think you're playing a floor against the ceiling. Give me the ceiling. Next up, 105 on the West Coast. The Niners.
You're crazy. The Cardinals, look out, Ryan.
The Niners, who are on a back-to-back.
Ryan is nervous about the Cardinals. I can tell.
I'm not nervous about the Cardinals.
Oh, okay.
I am nervous about Andrew Thomas. San Francisco 49ers on a back-to-back road spot here, looking ahead to Thursday night as well.
Yes, great
Which,
point.
by the way, Giants are staying out on the West Coast, so maybe this is a little culture build. Maybe there's some pillow fight activities planned. Maybe some
Ryan,
cornhole, a barbecue.
Let's pull back the shtick. I'm genuinely not trying to troll. The Giants started out 7-2 last year, got out to a hot start. Since then, are you worried about where things are going? Big picture.
No.
Okay.
I'm worried that their offensive line coach hasn't gotten any sort of he hasn't maximized some of the talent on the team. And I'm a little worried that they continue to play this piece of shit who's not even trying to block. Now, I think if you're going to take a loss like this, you want the positive spin. The best time to take it's right away against your division rival. Look yourself in the fucking mirror and do something about it. I think the biggest problem was that like the offense, the right side. If you look at the numbers, the left side actually played fine. The right side was so bad it broke the game. And so sure, maybe the same thing happens, or maybe you have some extra blockers in there. You change what you're trying to do. Maybe 4 wide's a bad fucking idea. So my point was that Arizona's offense is going to be fucking limited, even if they hit. And so the Giant, like I do think the Giants should be able to easily discard this Cardinals team. That being said, yeah, if Andrew Thomas doesn't play, this is a massive problem. Niners, the team they're going to be playing, and they're going to be having that long week sleepover and culture build, preparing for. Nick Bosa shouldn't be a problem. The Niners are laying 7.5 this week against the Los Angeles Rams in an absolute flowchart game. Shanahan and the boys -345 on the money line. Rams +275 on the way back. 45 is the total. Rams don't necessarily do so hot all the time. This is where it starts. Is Brock Purdy really that good?
Yeah,
is Brock Purdy that good?
We do still have the Brock Purdy Brock Hard shirts.
Is he that good
in the merch store?
Can't be that good.
I was doubting it. I thought the injury would slow him down, but as much as I want to talk shit on that team, hats off to them because they went into a hostile environment there in Pittsburgh and got a good win. So I have to be fair, Ryan. I'm not one of these touts that goes, well, actually, this is what happened, and I fucked up. I was on the Steelers. A lot of other people were, but again, it's about me. It's about the show. It's about our takes, our handicaps, and we fucked up taking the Steelers week 1. I still think the Steelers can turn it around. We'll get to them, but I probably underestimated the offense that Shanahan can have. That can execute with Brock Purdy. I thought not having Kittle there 100% would matter. Kittle didn't do shit, and it was just all about Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey. lit them up in part because Cam Hayward got injured, but in part because he's Christian McCaffrey and they scheme up a good plays there. What's troubling here for the 49ers though, is this is crazy, man. It's a 7.5 point. I'm always inclined to take massive division dogs. And I'm sure there's a bunch of trends of this team owning of the 49ers owning the Rams, but I would say the spread never gets to be 7.5. I understand that the Rams don't really have a home edge. In fact, the 49ers are planning on wearing their home jerseys on Sunday, which
that's cold.
If you're coming back to the Cardinals
that's
here,
cold.
Right? These guys are professionals. They take that shit personally. They feel personally disrespected.
You think so? That you think they're pissed off that they're wearing the wrong colors in SoFi?
I think if you said to them, I think Sean McVay again, he was a guy that said he brought up the 6.5 win total. He's a guy that's going to bring up shit like this, that they disrespect you so much. They're wearing their home jerseys here. Also, eye test. Did you watch that Rams Seattle game? Matt Stafford looked really, really good. He looked really healthy.
Seattle might've been bad.
Oh, dude, did you watch his ball placement?
No, he looked. That's fine.
Matt Stafford ran for 10 yards and picked up a first down.
Yeah, the offensive line. I wonder if the offensive line is going to look as good against this defensive front.
Sure. If you're talking about the 49ers, the handicap to talk yourself into, it's pretty simple of Bosa dominating that offensive line, of Seattle being the true fraud and the Rams not having the weapons and winning in the trenches. The counter though is for me, Matt Stafford looked really, really good. I know there's injuries in Seattle. Seattle's secondary is okay. Like their cornerbacks are pretty decent. He was finding these young guys open. He had 2 receivers that really went off. His ball placement was awesome. He looked super comfortable in the pocket. I thought he looked so much better than he looked last year, even before he got hurt.
It was all about he had time.
Small sample size, one game.
He had time, and yeah, I worry that it's a slightly different animal. You mentioned, all right. So when's the last time Shanahan lost to McVay in the regular season? 2018, Sean. Now well, maybe they weren't all blowouts because this is a big number. Well, if you just kind of comb through the years, 2022, they cover this number both ways. 2021, they go 1-1 against this number. 2020, they go 1-1 against this number. 2019, they go 1-1 against this number.
I hear a lot of 1-1s in there.
Sure, I just don't. I think you're. I think you're getting cute. I think you're getting cute here.
I don't think so, because I also like fading teams looking ahead to the Thursday night game.
Flowchart game though. I don't think San Francisco's looking ahead to that Giants performance, and I think we just watched a McVay over Pete Carroll flowchart game. Now it's the Shanahan over McVay flowchart game. Sean, you're getting cute here. San Francisco by 1 million. Okay.
Matt Stafford. Watch that Matt Stafford performance. We're gonna, after the show's over, we're putting the condensed game film on.
I thought he played well, but we liked him to play well in that spot. You don't have to stay on the horse that's riding off the cliff.
It's coming back home. The 7.5 point dog. Nobody believes in this team, Ryan.
You know what? I'll speak for Katie. It's not going to be a home game. It will be a sea of red.
Yeah, and they're going to get fired up. Watch.
Yeah, the Niners fans will be fired up. They're going to have to use a silent count in their own stadium. That's embarrassing. Jets.
They did that in the NFC Championship game and they won.
Well, that's the only time that he's won. 125 on the West Coast. The Jets coming off that Monday night
Jets
miracle victory. They head to Dallas. Big D to take on the Cowboys. Cowboys laying 9 here. Little teaser protection. -425 on the money line. Jets plus 330. 38.5 is the total. Haven't really mentioned too many of the old producer Josh picks, but I do see he's on the Cowboys here.
Did add a note. Don't fire me.
That's pretty disgusting. 9-point spread and a 38.5 point total.
That is a disgusting act.
This is not our first time betting on games. That is a interesting combination there. That strikes me as the Jets might not score a point. That's what the odd makers are thinking here. What a nice 26-10 game.
Maybe I'm falling for Hard Knocks, but I liked what I saw about. I liked what I saw out of Zach Wilson in Hard Knocks. Didn't necessarily love him in that game. That turnover, that interception was just.
The whole show is just shitting on him. Remember how bad last year was?
Oh,
not this year.
The Mannings were just straight clowning him. It was. He's got a little fight in him.
Week of practice. Aaron Rodgers helping to mentor him.
I'm talking myself into it.
Our hero turns into a player coach. I mean, I like this as a defensive battle.
Yes.
I will say the Giants, as much as you talk shit, the Giants defense had like when the game was not out of hand, the Giants defense was fine. And I don't think Dallas was all that impressive on offense. I'm being serious.
I agree. It's just funny to say that when you lose 40-0, but I agree with you that the Cowboys offense. This is got
multiple tabloids piled up. There.
This is the time you always want to fade a team coming off a 40-0 primetime victory. Are you kidding me? I am worried about Jets on a short week. I am worried about the emotional toll of the Jets. Whatever the Jetsian lifestyle. I shared that clip about
non-conference road game
about how the Aaron Rodgers thing was just the most Jetsian Jets thing of all time. And the guy goes, well, I mean, us and the Eagles are in the same boat, I guess. Dude, don't try and take me into your Jets sad hole. And he goes, what are you talking about? We both only have one Super Bowl. Okay, dude, don't compare the Eagles. We also have if he's going to claim the 1969 Super Bowl, I'm going to claim the 1960 NFL championship.
Whoa, it's not called the Super Bowl, Sean. You can't claim
it's called the NFL championship.
Of course, but I mean, you don't want to play that game with the Giants. They start adding a lot more than I mean, I would just stick with Super Bowl. So you're just like the Jets, basically the Jets.
Jets defense is legit. Also, this is an amazing quote. The night is darkest before the dawn, and I shall rise yet again.
Who's that talking about?
That's Aaron Rodgers talking about his leg. Very, very great. I think when the Dak plays a real defense, he's going to turn the ball over, and this Jets team is a real defense.
Yeah, what are we doing? I like how we spent all this time just to say Jets plus 9.5.
Yeah. Well, it's at 9 right now over on
Jets
DK.
plus 9. I apologize. My notes were stale. Another last of the afternoon games. Washington, the Commanders, they head out to Denver to take on the Broncos. Let's ride. Denver minus 3.5, minus 180 on the money line. Washington plus 150. 39 is the total. Nice color combinations in this one. Who can forget the Clinton Portis for Champ Bailey trade? That shit would never go down today with the value of running backs. This almost an identical matchup to last week with the Raiders. I guess we're saying the Raiders and the Commanders are the same team. If you play that game, you know, the old transitive property of the NFL, which doesn't always work. I would say I probably put the Commanders slightly above the Raiders. Raiders just happen to play the Broncos, who they own, and the Broncos just happen to lose to a team that has had their number.
That was just more a division slop fest than I think necessarily the Raiders being this great team or the Broncos being a horrible team. In the first half, especially, I thought he didn't look amazing. He didn't look, oh man, that guy's earning his contract, but he did look slightly better than complete trash Russell Wilson. I would say he went from bottom 5 to almost league average, which is kind of all this Broncos offense needs, because their defense is still really, really good. Surtain did a really good job on Devontae Adams. I don't even know if we mentioned it on the Raiders Bills preview, but Devontae Adams didn't practice, so he could be out.
Oh, I did that day. Dug deeper there.
Okay,
he'll be fine. Russell
Wilson, I don't feel great laying 3.5 points, but I'm looking to fade Sam Howell making his first road start. I didn't see anything out of that. That was supposed to be the spot of all spots. The fans are going nuts.
The coronation.
You got rid of
the Queen is in the house.
You got rid of Dan Snyder. You're gonna feel so good. You almost lost to the Cardinals at home. This is a much tougher spot at elevation. I love taking elevation teams early on. I get it didn't work out week 1, but I think that it has a good shot to cover here. Yeah, I really like the Broncos.
I do as well. I think for the same reason we liked him last week, just that elevation. I think the coronation, there'll be a little bit of a hangover spot here. I am starting to worry that Mr. Harris might not be a football owner. I'm already sensing a little bit. I mean, as a fan of another team in the division, I like how he's been so hands-on and involved so far. I like that he's already made news with a floppy handshake in the Monday Night booth.
That was really
he's made news.
The ultimate cold fish.
Throwing it kind of a Jerry Jonesian. Hey Rivera, I'm going to judge you by how many wins you have. Go win. I think this was the spot we were talking about fading them months ago, Sean. After they win the game at home against the Cardinals with the new ownership and everyone celebrates and we're back, and then they go out to Denver and they play a very mediocre Broncos team that's going to play great defense and going to run the rock. I worry a little bit. Maybe they won't have the same success running the ball they did against the Raiders, but Pirine, Javonte Williams, they both look good. Jaleel McLaughlin looks like he could be a fun weapon in the passing game. You saw how just like Drew Brees, how many guys had a target in that game. I think Marvin Mims was the 8th guy to receive a target last week. So
Jordan Humphrey.
Jordan Humphrey scored a touchdown. So let's go back to the laying 3.5 with the Broncos. Well, I think it's going to end up being the right side. I believe we put you on the right side with that one.
Hey, we're definitely putting you on the right side when it comes to Hall of Fame bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. This thing is, you can really get lost in this. This is a super fun rabbit hole. Just trying to keep coming up with parlay ideas. See how many of those green boxes you can get. See if you can carve out some EV. It's so nice to not have to do all this research. Hall of Fame bets, really, just for doing the show prep for some of the parlays we give out. Hall of Fame bets makes it just so much easier. Love this thing. And again, they got you covered with NFL, NBA, MLB, soccer, historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame bets revolutionary parlay optimizer. You get the hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. This thing is just amazing. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets.
Nice work, Sean. All right, home stretch, Sunday Night Football. We got another public team here, Sean. The Miami Dolphins, back-to-back road spot. Now they are up across the country into beautiful Massachusetts to take on the Patriots. Tom Brady won't be in the house. It's a baby fucking wheel, man. They're certain to only have Mac Jones. Catching 3 at home for the Patriots, plus 124 on the money line. Dolphins minus 148. 47 is the total. Man, I remember when we were talking about the Dolphins, we're like, yeah, they could lose the first 2 games and they're going to be a pretty sweet pick week 3 at home against Denver. Vic Fangio looking ahead to his old team. I doubt it. This is a great divisional matchup. Everyone's betting the Dolphins. Belichick, that was an impressive comeback. I think you got to give him a little bit of credit for not buckling. They fought back. They found a weakness in the defense. And
Bill O'Brien being an actual offensive coordinator does seem night and day compared to last year's offensive play calling. Definitely give him that credit.
Well, just the ability to adjust on the fly, the ability to identify something and then go at it repeatedly in different ways. I almost certainly know that New England's defense will be better than whatever the Chargers are rolling out at this point. So the idea that Tyreek Hill will be running wide open down the field, I don't know. Tua clean throwing for 466 yards seems unlikely, but at this point, how can you bet? I don't want to overreact because I've mostly tried to fade the overreaction of week 1.
Yeah,
the Dolphins is the one team where I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that because there's nothing that you don't feel. The dumbest you can feel is sitting watching Sunday Night Football and Tyreek Hill is just fucking running anywhere he wants on the field. You're like, God damn, like, what am I doing here? Of course, the Dolphins are a better team than the Patriots.
This is a back-to-back road spot for the Dolphins, as you mentioned there. I think maybe this is the game where they missed Teron Armstead. Matt Judon really gave some of the Eagles tackles trouble. The Eagles offensive line didn't have a good game, so you're going to need to get the best game from the Dolphins.
They had Bosa and why were the Chargers not able to do something about it? Like, what am I missing? That's a good
question.
But is it because they just sit back?
But the Dolphins defense looked kind of bad. They were able to, and maybe it was part of Fangio's plan. Like, as we were saying, they let him run all over the place.
But Belichick's going to do that. He'll be fine handing. I mean, that's a bad. I don't know how. This is the one game I'm completely clueless. I do think the Dolphins tend to lose up here and win down in Miami against the Patriots. If you want to highlight the flow chart, but
yeah, Tyreek Hill does own the Patriots. Tua owns the Patriots. Fangio versus Mac Jones. I think you gotta like Fangio there. I'll take Miami -3, but this does feel a bit fishy. But I think that was kind of the perfect spot for New England. They were probably going to get blown out. Then they kind of snuck their way back in to make it respectable. But yeah, I still have a lot of questions for this Patriots offense.
It's Sunday Night Football. Do we at any primetime angle to be had here? I'm kind of excited to see a lot of McDaniel on the sideline at primetime. See what he's up to down there. Maybe the pen comes out. He gets. Yeah, I think this isn't
smoking my weed.
This isn't. You know what? I can't do it. Give me Miami. This is the one game I'm not going to be cute. Not getting cute with this one. Give me Miami. All right. Next up. All right. Let's talk, Mr. Commissioner. 2 Monday night games starting an hour apart. Why? 2 East Coast games. Like you have teams on the West Coast. Figure it out. Talk to the
NFL made a deal with the electronics industry. They're really making sure everyone has a multi-screen setup. I love it.
Obviously we can handle it. Come on. We can do better. 4:15 on the West Coast. New Orleans, the Saints. They head to the long grass of Carolina, where the Panthers are +3, +130 on the money line, -155 for the Saints. 40 is the total. Saints are a public side here. Alert. This is to me a flowchart game, and I know Bryce Young did not look good, but I love the juxtaposition of this Carolina team. I think they maybe. I'm a little. This is another one where I had to talk myself into it, but the situational spot of the home dog. It seems obvious that I want to take Carolina coming off a game against a team that I think is better than the market. Now they're going into a game that I think is worse than the market. And I think it's also a situation that we've historically loved, taking Carolina at home against the Saints. Home divisional dogs, as we've said early in the season, very strong. Fading the public, very strong. Maybe Bryce Young coming home looks a little bit better than we did on the road in a divisional spot.
Taking some HGH, you're gonna get those gross.
You know what though, Latimer isn't at this defense in general. I wonder if it's going to be the same animal with this, whatever you want to call it, with Carolina's offense. I think they have to really get back to committing to running the ball. They have 2 running backs. We see it. It's not going to be all Miles Sanders. Chuba Hubbard out there. I think he racked up 60 yards on the ground. And, for the Saints, the one thing that stood out to me when I was doing the NFC South rushing totals, they didn't have a running back with more than, I think, 25 yards. And so if they're not going to be able to run the ball, I believe that's why Atlanta was able to take care of business with Carolina. They wore them down. I don't know if New Orleans is going to be able to wear them down in the same way.
I'm concerned.
JC Horn is out.
Yeah, JC Horn being out for the Panthers, I think, is going to create some problems.
CJ Henderson has been bad in the past, and he's the guy replacing him.
Left tackle Trevor Penning for the Saints had a pretty bad game. You imagine Brian Burns. He was kind of a late ad. He was holding out. Maybe now he's feeling a little better. He could get some pass rush on Derek Carr.
Well, and again, we didn't really get to see that pass rush in the Atlanta game because Atlanta dominated the line of scrimmage and just didn't need to pass the ball, right? They were so good they only needed to run the ball.
All right, I'll take Carolina, but I don't love this.
I wish we recorded earlier in the week because there was a 3.5 out there. But in some ways, I like taking a 3 better than a 3.5. Second Monday night game, we got that is sharp. We got the Cleveland Browns, who are when Cleveland's public, that's scary. They're laying 2 here in Pittsburgh. Come on, Pittsburgh also a close your eyes special, which tick the overall trend up a couple points when it's a home dog. It's an AFC North home dog. On top of that, the Steelers plus 105 on the money line. Browns minus 125. 39.5 is the total. Honestly, we've heard about all the injuries for the Browns, including their left tackle. I think the takeaway from the Steelers week 1 is that, okay, TJ Watt's going to eat at least. This defense really got their ass kicked, and I would imagine a massive bounce back spot specifically for that unit. I don't know if the offense is going to look as crisp without Deontay Johnson out there. I don't think Allen Robinson and Calvin Austin are quite the same animal, but I think this could be a game where we see them get back to the what Steelers used to be. Run the ball with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, maybe work in some play action, some fun deep stuff to Freiermuth and Pickens. I love obviously the close your eyes special, which that scares me a little bit, but the fact that Cleveland's getting all the money, Sean.
Yes, Cleveland. The Steelers own the Browns. The Steelers last 46 games, 38-8 over the Cleveland Browns. This is the ultimate flowchart game. Cam Hayward is out for the Steelers defensive line. Could maybe Nick Chubb ends up having a decent game, but Deshaun Watson looked really bad. I understand the counter is saying, hey, well, didn't Kenny Pickett look really bad? Sure, Kenny Pickett looked really bad, but now he's Kenny Pickett is still at home. Now Deshaun Watson goes on the road, and I think the 49ers defense is way better than the Bengals defense. Deshaun Watson, they got the win, but you watch that, and some of it was in his defense, the sloppy weather. But
why are they favored?
I think he's going to struggle. I have this game as Steelers -3. They're both kind of similar teams. You mentioned Jack Conklin. Although the Browns replacement right tackle did play okay, I still think TJ Watt is going to eat. I just don't think the Browns have that kind of offense that the 49ers do. I also love Tomlin coming off a loss. Like, this is when Tomlin shows up. The reason he's never had a losing season is he doesn't lose a lot of back-to-back games. Give me the Steelers.
So the win totals for these teams is 9.5 and 8.5. So, just doing some very rudimentary math here, there's no way that the implied spread for this game was -2 before the season. So what's happened? But seriously, which player has been? Deontay Johnson's worth 5 points to the number. I mean, I would imagine this number might have been 2.5. You get that little bit of a tick, right? A full win on the season. So where's the 5.5 coming from? This is the easiest play on the board to me. And maybe you were a week too early on locking this team up.
It's true. I will not lock them up out of respect. I don't like to do back-to-back locks, but I do love this Steelers.
Oh, wait, hold on. You're not going to do back-to-back locks out of respect for him and the situation. I'm going to leave all the specifics and particulars in house. Want to be able to do that out of respect for that situation. I'm not going to really have any follow-up information or anything that I'll give in that regard. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm really hope that you can please respect my wishes in regard to keeping that in house. I understand that you have a job to do, but there are certain things that are a lot bigger and more important. Out of respect for the particulars and the specifics, want to be able to keep that in house. And that's where I'd like to leave it, please. Sean McVay on Stetson Bennett. All right. So it maybe I'm sure there's something serious happening and you don't want to talk about it, but why are you stumbling over your words so much? You said specifics and particulars repeatedly. That seems like I want to double click now. Are there aliens involved? Is there a dehydrated alien in the desert now? Is that where Stetson Bennett went?
That alien puppet that they said is an alien was pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, is that Yoda? I mean,
it looks like something you would get at a Area 51
Disney,
gift shop.
Is it a Disney thing?
I hope it's a real alien, but
did it come with some jerky?
Well, Ryan is referring to there's a road stop if you ever drive from LA to Vegas called Alien Jerky. Unclear if the aliens are the guys making the jerky or the jerky is made out of alien bodies.
Oh no,
you never get the explanation.
I think it's meant to be that they've killed aliens.
Okay.
And they've made jerky.
And then they dehydrated the meat.
What other animals are out there, Sean?
It's true.
It's got to be aliens. Probably coming from like somewhere in Nebraska.
Time for our lock dog tease and bonus lock.
Happy birthday.
Kramer,
You went first last week.
No, I didn't.
You absolutely did. I let you go first. Absolutely. That's why you ended up on the Titans and the Steelers.
What do you mean?
I'm telling you first. The chat can agree with me. You picked your locks. I started to go, and you were unhappy with the amount of time that I was taking to make my first lock, and you started. So you went first.
Okay.
And I went 2-0 last week, so you should go first again.
All right. Here's what I got. I feel like you got to play Denver. Lock me up. The Denver Broncos -3.5.
Didn't see that coming.
Just a tough spot. I will also take the Seattle Seahawks. Close your eyes special.
Oh.
+5.5. Feels pretty locky. I do want to get Cincinnati in there. Do I kick out Cincinnati for Denver, Ryan?
No, it's up to you. Either one of those 3.5 point favorites. I mean, it's a similar spot for both teams. I think. I probably would less like I could see Lamar. That to me, Baltimore almost beating them with Huntley gives me a second of pause. So I would guess maybe Denver is a stronger play for me, if you're asking my opinion.
I'll go for my dog. I'll keep it as is. Just trust your gut. I'm a gut handicapper. For my dog, I do like Seattle, but I that feels like a field goal game. I do think the Rams are live. Do think the Cards are live. But
I dare you to pick the Jags.
That game's scary as hell.
Yeah.
I got to go back to the Titans. Well, give me Tennessee on the money line. I think this is actually the game where they get the outright win, +125. Let's go.
Can't quit that shit, huh?
For my tease, a lot of great teasing opportunities. Going to take the Buffalo Bills down to -2.5. That's just textbook tease opportunity right there. Could put the Eagles in. I want to mess with the Thursday card there. Ooh, Pittsburgh up to 8. Good tease opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Last but not least, I kind of want to tease the Colts, but why they're road favorites? That's a little slippery. For my last leg of the tease, do I have to take the Jags? Is there any possible way?
You don't have to.
I'll take the Rams +13.5.
Okay.
That game's going to be a bit of a game. Kramer, what do you got?
Lock? Come on, dude. You know where I'm starting. Atlanta.
Really? I'm going to have to
+2?
root for Atlanta.
Oh, you're going to hate both.
I like Green Bay.
Lock number 2. Have we ever played multiple close your eyes specials on the same circuit card?
We should.
Pittsburgh +2.
See, now I feel good that Kramer's playing it, not me.
Yeah, that was almost San Francisco. Just for those who like the almost out there. For my dog, man, I'm not. There's not a lot of long activity in the dog region. I like your Tennessee,
especially
angle.
as a favorites guy.
I like your Tennessee angle.
What about your Chicago Bears?
Is that long enough? That's pretty short. I did predict that Justin Field would secure his first win, but no, I'm gonna actually pivot. I'll say Bryce Young gets his first win of the season.
Panthers.
I'm going. I'm heavily interested in the Monday night card for the tease. Niners. Come on, it's almost a lock as is. Tease that down to 1.5. Bing bang boom. Let's get the. You know what? Let's get the Bears up to 8.5.
All right. I'm not trying to get you to change your pick. Just a reminder, you are teasing Justin Fields on the road.
All right. Delete it.
I'm not trying to get you to change your pick.
You just got me to change my pick. Give me the Bills.
I'm putting it back in because of all the shit you gave me about the Jags.
Give me the Bills -2.5.
Bills are going to win by 1.
And last leg, since you didn't like my Bills one, give me, you know what? Give me my Houston Texans up to 7. Fade Anthony Richardson first road start.
All right.
For a lot of sharp action there.
Yeah.
On both sides of the fence.
For me, I'll do a little DGen play. I'll go Rams Seattle money line parlay. Toss that in there. It's a little bit of a fun long shot.
What's
Ryan,
the occasion?
you put it on the sheet.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying, what's the occasion for those two?
Hashtag Legends only.
You're fading Dan Campbell?
It's a close your eyes special, and it's a juicy home dog.
I was gonna suggest we just do the close your eyes specials.
Okay, so what? Seattle
and Pittsburgh.
All right, so Kramer, Seattle, Pittsburgh money line parlay.
But if we're gonna make it a money line parlay,
well, you can do whatever you want, Ryan.
oh, they get Seattle out of there. Atlanta,
Okay.
Carolina,
Okay.
Pittsburgh.
All in the money line.
Actually, no, get Pittsburgh out of there. And the final one is keep Pittsburgh in there. 3-way money line parlay. Let's go.
All right, Circus Survivor.
I'll round robin that bitch too.
Okay. It has to be the Bills, right? You can't talk me. You'll have trouble talking me into anything else.
Yeah.
All right, Buffalo Bills. Key is not to overthink it. Circa Millions. So we got your lock, Atlanta +2. Suspect, Pittsburgh +2. My locks, Denver -3.5. Seattle +5.5. We do have both close your eyes specials in here. For me, at least something close that I wanted to get on the card. I love Joe Burrow back at home after that loss in Cleveland. You had Jamar Chase talking about those sorry ass elves. I really like Cincinnati -3.5 as far as something that I almost put in a lock but didn't. What do you got, Kramer?
I don't hate that angle. I would say
Tennessee. Obviously, I'm on them on the money line. We do both like Carolina, but I don't feel as great about that.
Are the Eagles going to shit the bed? That also seems like that. I was actually going to bring that up for the Survivor.
Oh,
they play on Christmas. We
got to save them for Christmas.
Yeah, I would. So if you're asking me what would I play after those first three, it would be San Francisco. I don't think you want to play that. So after that, it probably drops down to a tier of like Cincy's right there, Tennessee's right there. For me, probably Chicago's there. Miami's right around there, but I don't think Miami's a smart play. Let's just take Cincinnati.
Lock it
it's
up.
A good bounce back spot. So we're certain that he's not hurt. He was rubbing his knee.
Who?
We're not worried about Joe Burrow's knee.
I thought he looked healthy enough. Rewatching it and just kind of focusing on his mechanics. You know, I'm a mechanics expert. So our Survivor plays the Bills, Circa Millions, Atlanta +2, Pittsburgh +2, Denver -3.5, Seattle +5.5, Cincinnati -3.5. Locks. Kramer's got Atlanta +2, Pittsburgh +2, Panthers on the money line. Tease is 49ers, Buffalo, Houston. I'm on Denver and Seattle for my locks. Tease, Buffalo, Pitt, and Rams on the tease. Tennessee on the money line.
Football's back.
Football is back.
If you're listening to the podcast, congratulations, you've made it through 122 minutes.
Ryan's stuck
minutes.
in marathon mode. He thinks we're doing
I love this.
A 24-hour episode.
Time flies when you're talking football, Sean. I don't know about you.
We are talking ball. Hey, win these sweet Nike Air Jordan. Sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Getting our weekly Patreon pick'em. Friday night, VSiN 9:00 Pacific, live from the Circle Las Vegas. We also have our DFS show tomorrow night, prop show on Friday. Pregame show is back from the studio, taking your calls on Discord as well. 9 a.m. Pacific.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, second the money green, and he is Ryan.
Yes, the first half parlay will be there.
Kramer, let it ride.